Ethan Lawson had never imagined that a simple research mission could turn into the most extraordinary experience of his life. A scientist and explorer, he had spent years studying uncharted planets for the Interstellar Exploration Agency, but nothing prepared him for Zephora. The planet's surface was a swirl of vibrant colors and shifting light. Trees with translucent leaves shimmered under the twin suns, and rivers glowed faintly in hues that humans had no names for. It was beautiful, dangerous, and utterly alien. Ethan's team had been assigned to explore the ancient ruins scattered across Zephora's northern continent. The ruins were believed to be the remnants of the Zephorians, an intelligent and noble species thought to have once ruled the planet. Most of what was known about them came from long-abandoned artifacts and cryptic murals that hinted at a civilization of incredible sophistication. Ethan had been tasked with examining one particular ruin that protruded from the jagged cliffs, like a broken crown. Its stones were etched with symbols that pulsed faintly, almost as if the building itself had a heartbeat. While the rest of his team camped near the base, Ethan, driven by curiosity and an insatiable desire for discovery, decided to explore deeper into the structure. The entrance was narrow, barely wide enough for a human to squeeze through. He activated his flashlight, and the beam revealed walls covered with smooth crystal-like panels. As he stepped carefully, a soft hum resonated through the corridor. It was subtle, almost melodic, but there was something alive about it. He paused and touched the wall, half expecting it to be cold stone, but instead it pulsed gently beneath his fingertips. "Interesting," he murmured, documenting everything on his handheld scanner. The scanner beeped softly as it recorded energy readings that were unlike anything Ethan had ever encountered. The readings spiked as he approached the center of the chamber, a circular room with a high domed ceiling. The walls were etched with more intricate symbols, glowing faintly in sync with the hum. And then he saw her. At first, he thought it was a hologram, some kind of projection. But as he stepped closer, he realized it was real. A figure lay in the middle of the chamber, delicate and otherworldly. She was humanoid in shape, but her skin shimmered like polished pearl and her hair floated slightly as though suspended in water. Her eyes were closed and there was a subtle luminescence surrounding her. She wore a flowing robe that looked woven from threads of light itself. Ethan froze, unsure whether to approach. The readings on his scanner went through the roof. This was not just a life form. It was something extraordinary. Carefully, he stepped forward. "Hello?" he whispered. There was no response. She lay still, fragile and vulnerable. Ethan noticed a faint pulse in the chest, barely perceptible. Panic rose in him. The Zephorians were rumored to be nearly immortal, yet here was one. Perhaps a princess lying injured in a chamber hidden from the world. I can help," he said, more to himself than anyone else. He knelt beside her and examined her condition. His instincts as a medic and scientist kicked in. Her energy readings were unstable, almost like a dying flame. He touched her arm lightly, and the moment his fingers made contact, something unexpected happened. The hum in the room intensified, and the symbols on the walls blazed brightly. Ethan's hand tingled as if he had connected with a living circuit. The energy flowed from the walls into the princess, and slowly, her breathing deepened. Her eyes fluttered open, revealing luminous pupils that reflected awe, fear, and pain all at once. Ethan jumped back instinctively. I didn't mean to, but it was too late. Whatever had been triggered could not be undone. The princess's lips moved, though Ethan could not understand the words. A voice seemed to echo in his mind instead. "Life. Preserved?" He took a deep breath. "I'm a human. I'm trying to help." The princess opened her eyes fully and gazed at him. There was a flicker of recognition, or maybe something more profound. Ethan had heard rumors about Zephorian rituals, where any touch could be considered a sacred act, especially toward a royal. But this was different. He had not known, had not intended, yet somehow he had performed the act. The energy in the room calmed, and the hum softened to a gentle vibration, almost like a sigh of relief. The princess tried to sit up but winced in pain. Ethan reached for his medical kit, placing it beside her. "I have supplies. I can help you heal." For a moment she simply looked at him, studying him as though seeing into his mind. Then she placed a trembling hand over his. The gesture was soft, fragile, yet it carried a weight far beyond Ethan's comprehension. Ethan's heart raced. I don't understand. Are you okay? The princess's voice came again, this time clear in the room. Life. You saved me. The words hung in the air. Ethan felt a mixture of pride, confusion, and disbelief. He had saved a life, but he hadn't just saved anyone. He had saved a member of a royal family from a civilization so advanced that humans were barely a curiosity to them. Don't worry, Ethan said gently. I won't let anything happen to you. For a long time, neither moved. The room was silent except for the faint hum of energy that seemed tied to the princess herself. Finally, she spoke again. You are human? Yes, Ethan replied. I'm human. My name is Ethan Lawson. She nodded slowly as if the word confirmed something long feared lost. Ethan, human. Her voice faded into a whisper, and she closed her eyes briefly, exhausted from the effort of speaking. Ethan looked around the chamber. There were intricate devices embedded in the walls, crystal panels, conduits, and mechanisms that pulsed with energy. He realized that this room was not just a resting place. It was a life-preserving chamber designed to protect the princess from harm. And yet, by a strange accident, he had triggered it himself. As he tried to make sense of everything, he noticed a small pedestal near the princess, holding an artifact that glowed faintly. It was a crystal orb, clearly of great importance, and it hummed softly, resonating with the princess's energy. He reached for it cautiously, and the moment his fingers brushed its surface, the chamber shuddered. Symbols on the walls glowed brighter, and a warm light enveloped the princess. Ethan stepped back in awe. He realized that this chamber, these devices, and this princess were all part of a system far beyond human technology, yet somehow his touch, his mere presence, had activated it. He had become a bridge between worlds, completely by accident. Minutes passed. The hum faded, and the chamber returned to a calmer state. The princess opened her eyes again, looking directly at Ethan. You changed fate, she whispered. Ethan felt a strange mixture of fear and exhilaration. I didn't mean to, he admitted. It just happened, her expression softened. Intent, not needed. Action, enough, Ethan blinked. He had never felt more honored or more overwhelmed in his life. Here he was, a human in a hidden alien temple, holding the hand of a royal princess alive because of him. He helped her sit up gently and handed her water from his pack. She sipped carefully, her movements graceful and almost ceremonial. Ethan realized that every gesture, every look, was laden with meaning he could barely understand. Yet one thing was clear. The princess was alive, and it was because of him. For the first time in his career, Ethan felt the weight of destiny. He had not only discovered a new life form, but had inadvertently saved a member of an advanced civilization. Whatever came next, he knew that humans and himself had just stepped into a story far bigger than any mission brief, far bigger than any exploration. And somewhere deep inside, he felt a spark of excitement. Adventure had a new face on Zyphora, and it was the princess who had unwittingly chosen him to be part of her fate. As he looked at her, the chamber's hum echoing softly around them, Ethan realized one thing. This was only the beginning. Ethan couldn't sleep that night. Even though he had set up a temporary camp near the hidden chamber, his mind was racing. The encounter with Princess Liara was unlike anything he had ever experienced. Her delicate hands, her glowing eyes, the strange energy that had pulsed through the chamber. It was beyond any human technology or biology he knew. And yet, she was alive, thriving even, and it was because of him. Early in the morning, before the twin suns fully rose over Zyphora's horizon, the ground trembled lightly beneath him. It wasn't unusual. Zyphora was geologically active, but this tremor felt different, purposeful, as if the planet itself was signaling something. Ethan grabbed his equipment and headed back toward the chamber. Inside, Princess Liara was awake and seated on a crystal platform, her aura faintly glowing. She looked more composed than the previous day, though a hint of exhaustion lingered in her posture. Ethan approached carefully. You're awake early, he said. She tilted her head. I must see them, she replied softly. Her voice carried authority, yet it was gentle. Family, I must know. Ethan frowned. Your family? Liara nodded. Royal family. Guardians, leaders of Zyphora. They will mourn if they find me gone. It was then that Ethan realized the truth. She wasn't just an ordinary being. She was the princess, next in line for leadership. Her species' hierarchy must have been rigid, formal, and deeply ceremonial, and he had unwittingly saved her life, disrupting the natural course of their customs. "We need to move," she continued. "They will come." Moments later, the chamber doors shimmered, then slid open silently. A group of Xiphorian figures entered. They were taller than humans, their bodies graceful and elegant. Their robes reflected the light and colors that shifted with every step. At their forefront was a regal figure, an older Xiphorian male with piercing golden eyes and a crown of energy that hovered above his head. His expression was stern, yet his aura trembled with emotion. Liara rose slowly. "Father," she said. The king's eyes widened, and for a moment he seemed incapable of moving. The surrounding royal attendants whispered among themselves, their expressions a mix of awe, sorrow, and disbelief. The princess had been presumed mortally wounded in an earlier conflict with a predator species on the planet, a threat that had made her survival unlikely. Yet here she was, alive, healthy, and glowing with energy. Ethan stepped forward instinctively. I'm the one who helped her," he said. "I don't know exactly how, but it worked." The room went silent. The Xiphorian attendants froze, their gaze shifting between Ethan and the princess. The king's eyes narrowed, not in anger, but in careful calculation. Humans were known to Xiphorians only through legends, brief mentions in ancient records that described them as hardy, curious, and unpredictable. Few had ever met one. And now, a human was standing in their royal chamber claiming to have saved their heir. The king's voice was low but resonant. "You, a human, claim to have preserved life of our daughter?" Ethan nodded. "Yes, Your Majesty. I didn't mean to interfere, I touched her to help, and the energy responded. That's all I know." A murmur spread through the attendants. To the Xiphorians, even the smallest physical gesture could be a symbolic act. Ethan's accidental touch might have carried a meaning far beyond his understanding. The queen stepped forward, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. She reached for her daughter, touching her lightly, as if confirming that Liara was real. "My child alive?" she whispered. Liara inclined her head toward her mother. "Yeah, alive, mother. Because of him." She gestured toward Ethan. The queen's gaze shifted to him and she gasped softly. "A human? Saved my daughter?" Ethan swallowed. I didn't mean to." The king raised a hand, silencing everyone. "Explain," he said, his tone commanding. Ethan recounted everything. The chamber, the symbols, the energy, and the accidental touch that had triggered the life-preserving mechanism. He spoke clearly, carefully, trying not to omit any detail. The Xiphorian court listened intently, their expressions a mixture of skepticism and wonder. The attendants whispered among themselves in the soft musical language of Xiphora, translating Ethan's words into nuances of honor, fate, and ritual. Finally, the king spoke. "If this is true, then humanity proves capable of deeds our records have never shown." His gaze softened as he looked at Ethan. "You have performed an act of courage and perhaps destiny that even we could not accomplish alone." The room was heavy with emotion. Attendants wept quietly, some touching their chests in reverence. Humans had always been outsiders, their presence in Xiphorian history minimal, almost mythic. But here was one, alive, courageous, and honorable, whose actions had preserved life. It was as if the universe had chosen this human for a purpose. Liara approached Ethan and placed her hand lightly on his arm. "He did not act for reward. He acted for me. That is rare. That is human." Ethan felt warmth in his chest. "I just did what I thought was right," he said softly. The king nodded slowly. "Sometimes the right action transcends understanding. Sometimes it cannot be measured by law, ritual, or ceremony. Humans may not fully comprehend our ways, but they can touch the heart of life itself." The royal family spent hours in discussion, deciding how to respond to this unprecedented event. Some members feared that humans could disrupt the delicate balance of Xiphorian society. Others, moved by gratitude and awe, argued that Ethan's actions represented a bridge between species, a chance for understanding and cooperation. Meanwhile, Ethan and Liara began to communicate more openly. He learned about Xiphorian customs, the importance of ritual, the sacred duty of the royal family to protect their people, and the deep connection they had with the energy of their planet. Liara shared her experiences growing up as a princess, training in diplomacy, learning the art of leadership, and preparing for responsibilities far beyond what any human could imagine. Despite the vast differences, Ethan discovered common ground. Both humans and Zephyrians shared curiosity, courage, and a desire to protect those they cared for. And in that moment, he realized something important. Humans had qualities that could inspire respect, even among a civilization far more advanced than their own. The royal family finally reached a decision. They would allow Ethan to remain temporarily in the palace, not as a subject but as an honored guest. His role was simple: assist in Liara's recovery, learn about Zephyrian culture, and most importantly, prove that humans could be trusted allies. Ethan accepted, humbled by their trust. He knew this was more than just an adventure. It was a test of humanity itself. How humans behaved in the face of alien customs, dangers, and responsibilities would determine their place in Zephyrian history. Days passed. Ethan helped Liara with her recovery, learning more about her people and their ways. He marveled at their technology, which seemed almost magical yet was grounded in scientific principles far beyond human understanding. Together they explored the palace, examined ancient artifacts, and discussed the future of both their species. Through these interactions, Ethan realized something profound. Humans were capable of empathy, bravery, and ingenuity in ways that even the most advanced alien civilizations could respect. And the Zephyrian royal family, through their grief and subsequent gratitude, began to see humans not as mere visitors but as potential partners in shaping the fate of worlds. One evening, as the twin suns set and bathed the palace in golden light, the king spoke to Ethan privately. "You have done what many of our kind could not. You have preserved life. You have acted with courage, with heart, and with wisdom. Know this, your actions will not be forgotten. Humanity has shown its worth." Ethan felt a mixture of pride and responsibility. "I never expected any of this," he admitted. The king smiled gently. "Neither did we, yet destiny works in mysterious ways." Ethan looked out over the palace gardens glowing under Zephyra's twin suns and felt a deep connection to the planet and its people. He had arrived as an outsider, a curious human among legends. But now he was part of something greater, a story of survival, trust, and the beginning of an extraordinary bond between species. And somewhere deep in his mind, he knew that the adventure had only just begun. Ethan had been in the palace for several days now, and life on Zephyra was unlike anything he had imagined. Each morning, he awoke to the soft hum of the palace's energy systems and the faint glow of the twin suns filtering through crystalline windows. The walls were alive with shifting colors and patterns, responding subtly to the movements of those inside. Humans had never built anything like this, and even the most advanced labs on Earth could not compare. Princess Liara was recovering steadily. Her movements were now more assured, and the glow that surrounded her had softened to a gentle radiance that seemed natural rather than magical. Ethan assisted her with exercises that strengthened her limbs and practiced basic energy regulation techniques she had learned since childhood. Though he struggled at first, his adaptability impressed the princess. Humans, she realized, could learn quickly and think creatively, qualities that even Zephyrian training did not always encourage. "You are unusual," Liara said one morning, adjusting the floating bands of light that supported her posture. "You learn faster than I expected. Most of my tutors would have taken months to understand your approach." Ethan chuckled nervously. "I guess humans have to adapt. Survival depends on it." Liara's eyes sparkled with curiosity. "Survival, yes. That is important. But also empathy. You have that. You care for life in a way many of us do not." Ethan paused. "I just try to do what feels right. I didn't even think about it when I touched you." She smiled faintly. "Intent that matters less than action sometimes. Your action saved me. That is enough." Their conversation soon turned to Zephyrian culture. Ethan was fascinated by their history, their intricate system of governance, and their unique approach to science and technology. The Zephyrians did not see knowledge as a collection of facts, but as an interconnected flow of energy and purpose. Their machines were extensions of thought, their buildings harmonized with the natural world, and even their art carried functional meaning. Ethan realized that despite these differences, there were similarities too. Humans, like Zephyrians, valued curiosity, courage, and the ability to adapt. What humans lacked in refinement or longevity, they often made up for with ingenuity and boldness. One afternoon, Liara guided him to a chamber filled with floating orbs of light. Each orb contained holographic images of past rulers, great battles, and monumental discoveries. "This is how we remember and learn," she explained. "Our history is not only facts, but lessons. Lessons in courage and empathy and choice." Ethan watched intently as an orb showed a Zyphorian commander facing an impossible battle. The hologram depicted the commander making a daring move, one that risked everything but ultimately saved countless lives. Ethan felt a sense of familiarity. The instinct to act in a moment of crisis was something all humans shared. "I understand," Ethan said. "Even though your species is different, the choice to act, it's universal. Courage doesn't require centuries of training. Sometimes, it's instinct." Liara studied him closely. "You'd think like a human. That is valuable. Many of my people would have hesitated, yet you'd act. Days turned into weeks." Ethan trained alongside Liara in energy control exercises, learning to sense the subtle flows of Zyphorian life energy. Though he could not replicate it fully, he developed a unique skill, human intuition combined with Zyphorian discipline. His ability to improvise where the Zyphorians followed strict procedures impressed the royal family. Meanwhile, the palace began to accept Ethan's presence. Attendants who were once skeptical now offered assistance and guidance, teaching him manners, language nuances, and ceremonial customs. Ethan often stumbled, making minor mistakes, but his sincerity and quick learning earned the respect of everyone. One evening, Liara invited him to the gardens, a sprawling area of floating platforms, luminescent flora, and sparkling water streams. "Do you see, Ethan?" she asked, gesturing to the beauty around them. "This is Zyphora. Yet you understand some part of it already. You feel its rhythm." Ethan looked around, mesmerized. "It's incredible. You have harmony here that humans could only dream of." Liara smiled. "Harmony, yes. But humans have something we lack. Will. The courage to act. Even when the outcome is unknown, that is why your presence matters." Their bond deepened. Beyond lessons and training, they shared stories of their worlds. Ethan spoke of Earth, its oceans, forests, and the endless sky. Liara described Zyphora's landscapes, its hidden wonders, and the responsibilities of leadership. Both realized that despite the vast differences between humans and Zyphorians, they shared a common drive to protect those they cared about and to explore the unknown. One afternoon, while examining an ancient map, Ethan noticed a strange symbol near the edge of the northern continent. "What's this?" he asked. Liara's expression darkened. "That is the border of the Shadow Wastes. Few Zyphorians enter, and fewer return. It is dangerous. Many ancient guardians remain, and the energy there is unpredictable." Ethan leaned closer, curiosity sparkling. "Have you ever been there?" Liara shook her head. "No. Only the bravest, most skilled have tried. Humans are not expected to survive there." Ethan smiled faintly. "I'll be careful. But I want to see it. I want to understand your world fully." Liara studied him, a mixture of concern and admiration in her eyes. "Perhaps you are braver than any human should be." As the days passed, Ethan's interactions with the royal family grew more complex. Some members were still wary, fearing that humans could disrupt their traditions. Others were openly curious, fascinated by his resilience and ingenuity. Slowly, Ethan earned their trust, not through power or persuasion, but by demonstrating human qualities that transcended language and custom. The palace scholars took a particular interest in him. They observed his approach to problem-solving, his ability to improvise, to adapt tools in unexpected ways, and to face challenges without fear. They marveled at his creativity. Humans, they concluded, had a unique form of intelligence, practical, intuitive, and bold. Liara often watched these interactions quietly, noticing how the royal family's perspective shifted. Where there was once hesitation, now there was cautious respect. Where there was doubt, now there was curiosity. Ethan had begun to change not only Liara's life, but also the way the entire court viewed humans. One evening, after a day of intense training and lessons, Ethan and Liara stood on a balcony overlooking the palace. The twin suns were setting, casting long shadows across the crystalline towers. The air shimmered with energy, a quiet reminder of the planet's power. "You have done more than help me recover," Liara said softly.
"You have
inspired my people. They see the courage of humans. They see hope." Ethan looked at her, surprised. "Hope? Yes," she replied. "Your actions, your courage, your care, they remind us that life is precious, that even outsiders can make a difference, that even humans can shape the future of Zyphora." Ethan felt a surge of pride and humility. He had come as an explorer, a stranger in an alien world. Yet here he was, teaching, learning, and building bridges between species. His presence mattered, not because he was the strongest or the fastest, but because he had acted with empathy, intelligence, and courage, qualities that transcended species. As night fell, Ethan realized that his journey was far from over. Training, bonds, and cultural exchange were only the beginning. He could already sense that challenges lay ahead, perhaps greater than anything he had faced on Earth or during his missions. But with Liara by his side, and the respect of the royal family growing, he felt ready to face whatever Zyphora and the universe might throw at him. For the first time, Ethan understood something profound. Humans had a unique place in the cosmos. They could not match the Zyphorians' longevity or the precision of their technology, but they had something equally powerful: courage, empathy, and the ability to act in the face of uncertainty. These were the qualities that could inspire awe, respect, and even change the course of civilizations. And as Ethan watched the stars begin to sparkle over Zyphora, he knew that the true adventure was just beginning. The calm days in the palace had lulled Ethan into a sense of safety, but that peace was about to be shattered. One morning, while examining a holographic map of Zyphora's northern continent with Princess Liara, a sudden alert flashed across the projection. "Energy anomaly detected. Approaching rapidly," Liara said, her voice sharp with concern. She adjusted the hologram, revealing a cluster of dark vessels moving at high speed through Zyphora's atmosphere. "These are not ours, and they are coming fast." Ethan leaned closer, his heart racing. "What are they?" Liara shook her head. "We do not know. The sensors indicate a hostile alien force, unknown species. They have advanced weapons and they are targeting the palace." Alarm rippled through the palace. The royal family immediately convened in the council chamber, where Ethan was invited to observe. The king's expression was grave. "Zyphora has faced threats before," he said, "but never one with such speed and precision. We must act carefully, but swiftly." Attendants argued in their musical language, debating strategies and contingencies. Some proposed retreating the royal family to hidden sanctuaries. Others suggested activating defensive systems. Liara's eyes met Ethan's. "We need solutions. Unconventional solutions." Ethan's mind raced. Humans were not typically trusted with alien technology or strategy, yet here he was, watching a highly advanced civilization hesitate in the face of danger. His instincts as a problem solver kicked in. "I might be able to help," he said cautiously. "I've worked in extreme situations before. Maybe there's a way to combine your defenses with human tactics." The king studied him closely. "Explain." Ethan outlined his plan. He suggested using the palace's energy systems in unexpected ways, rerouting power to create defensive barriers in unconventional patterns, exploiting the enemy's predictable flight paths, and using decoy signals to mislead their targeting systems. He emphasized speed and improvisation, qualities humans excelled at. The council was skeptical. "Risky," one elder said. "Too unconventional," Liara intervened. "We do not have time for hesitation. Trust him, for the sake of our people." With the royal family's cautious approval, Ethan moved quickly. The palace attendants guided him through the energy controls, and he adapted the systems to create barriers, traps, and diversions. He had no experience with Xiphorian technology at this scale, but his human intuition allowed him to make connections the Xiphorians had overlooked. As the dark vessels entered Xiphora's atmosphere, alarms blared. The palace shook from distant energy blasts. Ethan's heart pounded, but he focused on the task. "Now!" he shouted. The palace defenses activated in coordinated bursts, creating shimmering shields that split and moved unpredictably. The attackers faltered. They had expected standard defensive patterns, but Ethan's improvisation confused their sensors. The vessels collided with invisible barriers, their attacks neutralized or deflected. From a balcony above, Liara watched in awe. He's brilliant," she whispered. "The humans, truly remarkable." But the battle was far from over. One vessel broke through the outer defenses and descended toward the palace. Ethan reacted immediately, rerouting power to a localized barrier around the royal quarters. The energy surged, creating a glowing shield, just as the vessel fired its main weapon. The blast struck the shield, sending a shockwave through the palace, but the royal family remained safe. Ethan's courage inspired the palace guards. They moved with renewed confidence, trusting his commands even though he was an outsider. His unconventional thinking allowed them to anticipate the enemy's maneuvers, striking when the attackers least expected it. The battle raged for hours. Xiphorian weapons, though advanced, were rigid in strategy. Ethan's human approach, adaptable, unpredictable, and daring, turned the tide. Using the palace's energy conduits, he created disorienting light patterns, drawing the vessels into traps. He coordinated with Liara to manipulate energy flows, guiding enemy ships into containment fields. One by one, the enemy vessels were neutralized. Some were forced to retreat, others were captured intact. Xiphorian attendants and guards, previously hesitant, cheered quietly in respect for the human who had orchestrated their survival. When the final vessel was defeated, the palace fell silent. Smoke and debris floated in the air, and the soft hum of energy returned, slower and calmer now. Ethan stood amidst the consoles, exhausted but exhilarated. He had just faced an alien invasion, and humans had proven themselves capable of heroism on a cosmic scale. Liara approached him, her eyes shining with gratitude. "You saved us. All of us. Your courage, your mind. Humans are more than I ever imagined." Ethan shook his head. "I didn't do it alone. Your people, your palace, they all helped. I just found a way to think differently." The king entered the chamber, his expression solemn but respectful. "You have done what many of our finest could not. You have shown bravery, intelligence, and foresight. Humans may be young in the cosmos, but your actions today prove you are a force worthy of respect." The queen's eyes glistened. "My daughter, and our people, owe you a debt beyond words. Your courage will be remembered for generations." Ethan felt a mixture of pride and humility. He had come as an explorer, a visitor in an alien world, and now he had become a hero in their eyes. Yet he knew that the universe held greater challenges, and this victory, though significant, was only one battle in the vast expanse of the cosmos. In the following days, the palace recovered from the attack. Ethan assisted in repairing energy systems, reinforcing defenses, and strategizing for potential future threats. The royal family, once skeptical of humans, now saw them as trusted allies. His actions had not only saved lives but had altered the perception of an entire civilization. Liara spent hours with him, discussing lessons learned from the battle. "Your decisions, they were risky," she said, "but calculated. You'd think differently. That is something we must learn from." Ethan smiled. "Sometimes risk is necessary. Sometimes action matters more than tradition or rules." Liara nodded. "Yes. Humans have courage that is unique. It inspires even the most advanced among us." Word of Ethan's heroism spread across the palace and eventually through Xiphora. Scholars, soldiers, and attendants shared stories of the human who had faced an alien threat and turned the tide of battle. Respect for humanity grew, and the royal family began to consider the possibility of greater collaboration with humans in exploration, defense, and cultural exchange. One evening, as the twin suns set and the sky turned to shades of purple and gold, Ethan stood with Liara on the palace balcony. Below them, the remnants of the enemy vessels floated harmlessly, and the palace hummed with renewed life. "You've changed everything," Liara said softly. "Not just for us, but for how Xiphoria sees humans. You proved that we are not the only species capable of courage and wisdom." Ethan looked at her, feeling the weight of the moment. "I only did what I had to do, but I'm glad it helped, and I'm glad it showed you that humans can rise to the occasion." Liara's gaze softened. "You have earned our respect, Ethan. But more than that, you have earned our trust. That is rarer than any treasure, rarer than any technology." Ethan felt a surge of determination. This was just one battle, one moment in time. But the relationship between humans and Xiphorians had changed forever. He had seen the best of both species, compassion, courage, intellect, and empathy, and he knew that together they could face any challenge. As night fell, Ethan realized the truth. Humans were capable of heroism not because of technology or weapons, but because of their ingenuity, courage, and willingness to act in the face of uncertainty. Those qualities, he understood, could inspire entire civilizations and reshape destinies. And deep inside, he knew that the real adventure was still ahead. The universe was vast, filled with unknown threats, uncharted worlds, and challenges that no single species could face alone. But humans, with their courage and adaptability, had proven they were ready. With the palace safe and the royal family's gratitude secured, Ethan prepared for what came next. There would be more missions, more discoveries, and more tests of human ingenuity. And this time he would not be alone. He would have the trust and partnership of an advanced alien civilization, ready to face whatever the cosmos had in store. As he looked out over the palace gardens, glowing under the twin moons of Xiphora, Ethan felt a sense of purpose stronger than ever. Humans were capable of greatness, and he had just shown it, not through dominance, not through strength, but through courage, intelligence, and heart. The universe was watching, and humans were ready to rise. The palace on Xiphora was alive with celebration. Weeks had passed since the alien invasion, and the palace staff, soldiers, and royal family were working tirelessly to repair the damages. Yet, despite the lingering shadows of the recent threat, there was a sense of hope and renewed purpose. Humans, once strangers to the Xiphorians, were now seen as allies, capable of courage, insight, and loyalty. Ethan walked through the palace corridors with Princess Liara, observing the repairs and improvements made to the energy systems he had helped optimize during the battle. For the first time, he felt truly connected to the planet, its people, and its culture. He had arrived as an explorer, a curious outsider, but now he was considered a friend and partner in shaping Xiphora's future. "Look at this," Liara said, pointing to a crystalline control panel that pulsed with rhythmic light. "We have adapted some of your human strategies permanently. The palace defenses are now more flexible, more responsive, thanks to you." Ethan smiled. "I only suggested what humans would do in a crisis. You and your people did all the work. I'm just glad it helped." Liara shook her head gently. "No, Ethan, your perspective, your courage, it changed everything. Xiphoria respects humans now in ways we never thought possible." The royal family gathered later in the day for a formal ceremony. The palace halls shimmered with light as attendants arranged intricate symbols of honor, floating above the floor in the soft glow of Xiphora's energy. King Thaloran, the patriarch of the Xiphorian royal family, stepped forward. His golden eyes, warm and solemn, rested on Ethan. "Human," the king began, his voice carrying across the chamber. "You have done what many of our own could not. You saved our princess. You guided us through peril. You showed courage, wisdom, and empathy, qualities that are rare in any species." The attendants murmured in agreement, their gestures and expressions conveying deep respect. Ethan felt a mixture of pride and humility. He had never expected such recognition, nor did he seek it. But in this moment, he understood that humans had proven something essential, that courage, ingenuity, and a willingness to act in the face of danger could transcend species, culture, and experience. King Thalarin continued, "It is clear to us that humans are worthy allies. Your actions have forged a bond between our peoples. Today we honor you not as a visitor, but as a friend and partner of Xiphoria." Liara stepped forward and placed a hand gently on Ethan's arm. "You have not only saved me," she said softly, "but you have inspired hope in my people. They see the strength of humans not in power, but in heart and mind. That is something truly remarkable." Ethan felt his chest swell with emotion. "I never expected this," he admitted. "I only did what I thought was right, but I'm glad it helped and I'm glad it gave hope." The Queen approached, her eyes shimmering with gratitude. "Your actions will be remembered for generations. You have earned the trust of our family and our people. That trust is more precious than any treasure." A formal ceremony followed, during which Ethan was presented with a medallion of honor, a floating crystal etched with symbols that represented courage, empathy, and unity. The crystal glowed softly, its light pulsing in rhythm with the Xiphorian energy that surrounded them. As Ethan accepted it, he realized that this was not just an award. It was a symbol of the new alliance between humans and Xiphorians. Over the next several days, Ethan and Liara worked together to plan the future. They discussed ways humans and Xiphorians could share knowledge, explore new regions of the planet, and prepare for potential threats in the cosmos. Ethan introduced ideas from Earth, tactics, science, and approaches to problem-solving, while Liara and her people adapted them to their advanced energy systems and cultural frameworks. One evening, as they walked through the palace gardens under the twin moons of Xiphora, Liara spoke softly. "Ethan, do you understand what you have done? You have changed how my people view humans forever. You have shown them that we are not so different, that courage and compassion exist in all worlds." Ethan looked at her, feeling the weight of her words. "I just tried to do what was right, but I guess humans can do a lot when it matters," Liara smiled. "More than you know. You have shown that even a single human can make a difference, sometimes more than an entire fleet of our own people." The palace halls began to buzz with preparations for further exploration missions. With humans now recognized as allies, plans were underway to train a group of humans in Xiphorian techniques, combining human ingenuity with Xiphorian technology. Ethan would lead the first team, acting as a bridge between the two species. During a council meeting, the king addressed this plan. "Our world is vast and filled with mysteries. The humans have proven themselves capable, courageous, and wise. It is only natural that we work together to uncover the secrets of Xiphora and beyond." Ethan felt a surge of pride. For years, humans had been explorers, travelers, and learners. But here on Xiphora, they were being recognized for their strengths, values, and potential to inspire. He realized that humanity's true power was not just in technology or numbers, it was in their courage, adaptability, and willingness to act for the greater good. As the days passed, Ethan trained humans alongside Xiphorians, sharing tactics, survival skills, and ethical principles. The humans adapted quickly, their creativity complementing Xiphorian precision. The bond between the species grew stronger, and the palace became a hub of cultural exchange, innovation, and cooperation. Liara continued to recover fully, her energy glowing steadily and her confidence growing. She often accompanied Ethan during these training sessions, observing how humans adapted to Xiphorian methods and providing guidance. Together, they demonstrated the potential of collaboration. Two species, different yet complementary, working toward shared goals. One afternoon, as Ethan walked through the observation deck overlooking Xiphora's northern continent, he noticed signs of growth and renewal. Forests damaged during the invasion were slowly recovering, rivers once disrupted were flowing steadily again, and the palace's energy systems had been upgraded to withstand future threats. Humans and Xiphorians alike contributed to the restoration, working side by side. Liara joined him silently, gazing out at the landscape. "This is only the beginning," she said. "Humans have shown us courage, and now we will show them the wonders of Xiphora. Together we can explore, protect, and learn." Ethan nodded, feeling a deep sense of purpose. "I think humans and Xiphorians can accomplish great things together. There's so much to see, so much to understand." The night sky shimmered with stars, and in that moment Ethan realized the full impact of his journey. He had come to Zephora as an explorer, uncertain and curious, but he had become a symbol of human potential. His actions had not only saved a life but had built trust, inspired hope, and forged a new path for cooperation between two species. King Thaloran later joined them on the observation deck, placing a hand on Ethan's shoulder. "You have done more than survive here, human. You have proven that humanity is capable of greatness not through domination, but through courage, empathy, and wisdom. Know that Zephora honors you and your people forever." Ethan felt a lump in his throat. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I only tried to do what was right." "Then you have done more than enough," the king replied. "Now the future is ours to shape together." In the following weeks, humans were formally invited to establish a permanent presence on Zephora. Exploration teams were trained, joint research initiatives were launched, and cultural exchanges flourished. The palace, once a symbol of isolation and tradition, became a beacon of cooperation and hope. Ethan often reflected on the journey. From the moment he accidentally touched Princess Liara, he had been thrust into a world of wonder, danger, and responsibility. That one unintentional act had set in motion events that would change both humans and Zephorians forever. He realized that humanity's true strength was not measured by technology or dominance, but by the ability to act with courage, adapt to the unknown, and care for others. Those qualities, he knew, would guide humans in their exploration of the universe. One evening, as he and Liara stood together, looking out at the horizon where twin suns dipped below distant mountains, Liara spoke softly. "Ethan, you have proven that humans are more than legends. You have shown us that bravery, kindness, and ingenuity exist even in worlds beyond our own. That is a gift we will never forget." Ethan smiled, feeling a warmth he had never known. "I think it's what humans do best. We try, we act, we care. And sometimes, that's enough to change the world." Liara nodded, her eyes shining. "Yes, it is enough. Together, humans and Zephorians will shape a new era." As the twin moons rose over Zephora, casting silver light across the palace, Ethan knew the truth. The universe was vast, full of challenges, mysteries, and unknown worlds. But humans, with their courage, adaptability, and heart, were ready. And now, with allies like the Zephorians, they would face the future not as mere visitors but as partners, explorers, and heroes in the grand story of the cosmos. The adventure had begun with an accidental touch, but it had led to a new era, one of trust, alliance, and hope. Humans had shown that even small actions, guided by courage and empathy, could shape destinies, and on Zephora, that truth would shine forever.